Hey Planner friends, how's it going? Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Ryan and this is A Man with the Plans, and we are back. I'm in my budget notebook here and we are gonna do a little Euro trip budget. So I am headed to Sweden and Denmark, as it says, and I figured I would kind of show you how I map out what I plan on spending and being able to kind of go from there and see what happens. For me, this is one of the things that I've realized now that I've paid off all of my student loans and whatnot, which if you're new here, hi, my name's Ryan. I am a single adult living in the Midwest on one income, and I managed to pay off 60 grand in debt over the course of probably about 3.5 years. And so if you want to see any of my budget playlists, I'll kind of link them over here. But now that I am debt-free, I'm able to go on trips like this and adventures like this. And how I'm able to do that is I kind of squirrel away money along the year, and then I make a pretty strict budget like this, and we hope to follow it as we go. So a few details about this trip. It's about 10 days long. I leave on the 18th of March and I get back on the 29th. So we will be there, obviously like the 2 transit days, it's kind of hard to include as part of activity. But so we leave Saturday night the 18th at like 11:15 p.m. We get there the next day, Sunday the 19th at 6. And then we're there, we're in 2 different countries. We're in Sweden and Denmark. I figured it would be fun to kind of just track all of these things as we go and kind of see what happens. So the first thing, obviously, coming from Minneapolis is your airfare, your biggest expense, if you will. As you can see here, I've had a bit of fun with my stickers. And so these are the colors of Sweden, and then Denmark is really red and white, but it's hard to have a white arrow, so that's what they're getting. And I didn't realize that they're like kind of rivals. So that's fun that I'm going to both. I kind of played around with some stickers here. You'll see some Once More with Love. We have these fun passport stickers down here, and they're from this shop. I actually took this from Emily from Go Wild. So Kubo and Lucy Stationery, kind of love it. I love all the different like travel stuff, and so I don't know, I just figured it's fun. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff, some Planner Kate in here, some sticker party, some random other stuff that I have lying around. Just figured I wanted to spice this up a little bit because it's more fun this way. So the first thing is airfare. This all started with a funny joke that I wanted to go away for my birthday, and we looked at flights to like Palm Springs or something, and it was like $580, and I kind of said like, so here we are going to Europe for that kind of price. So for me, I like to budget. I always like to be pretty conservative. I grew up in the East Coast, and so we were always kind of spoiled with cheap flights out of JFK to Europe. Living in the Midwest now, I will say it's a bit more expensive. That actually doesn't mean you can't find some good stuff. So I used to spend about $5 a month for Thrifty Traveler. I haven't in recent years, but my friends do, so we get the same emails. One of the things that I've found is that you can usually find some pretty good flights, especially like Sweden and Denmark in March. It's probably a little early for spring travel, but by going a little bit earlier, we were able to get round trip, leaving on a Saturday, coming home on a Tuesday, so a pretty fair chunk of time and having some 2 weekends mixed in. I budgeted for this around $750 is what I had been seeing, but all told, we were able to get it down to, I think it was $676 was our main flight, but it was a shorter trip. I was originally gonna do a solo trip all by myself, just kind of a spur of the moment, didn't think my friends would wanna join me, but when my 2 travel buddies decided that they wanted to come along too, I said sure, because that's one of the ways that I feel like traveling is more fun is when you do it with friends, because you can split some of the lodging expenses. And if we want to go out to dinner and we don't all want to try something, you know, we can kind of get more of an experience that way. That's one of the ways that I do it, is by going with a few friends. I'm traveling with 2 other folks, which is why we'll be having Airbnbs in both Stockholm and Copenhagen. Our flight ended up being $676 round trip. That included us, I got upgraded to Premium Comfort Plus, that's what it was, not Premium Select. I'm not fancy like that. We also booked a really inexpensive flight from Stockholm to Copenhagen. So there is a train, it takes about 8 hours, I think, overnight. But we ended up getting a flight for I think it came out to $67 total from Sweden to Denmark. That includes taxes and a bag and all that good jazz. So my total for all airfare this trip is already at $743. So we are $7 under budget. Go me. I recognize that these countries are some of the most expensive in Europe, maybe on the planet. So I'm expecting it to be over in a lot of these things. So the next thing really is lodging. And so I estimated $500 in each. We have an Airbnb in both cities. And the thing that I love about Airbnb is it's also a way for us to kind of cost save other places. I feel like if we each had a hotel room, or we did 2 hotel rooms, or, you know, potentially we could squish into one, but I feel like the beds in Europe are just teeny weeny, and so like they're not really apt for that type of sharing. But so some quick things about our Airbnbs, just because I feel like it's good to know. The first Airbnb we have in Stockholm is in the neighborhood of Södermalm, which is really cool. It has 2 full bedrooms, which is nice, and then the couch folds out into a full bed. There's a nice desk. I'll leave a link to the actual Airbnb for each of them down below in case you're curious. I'll also wait to let you know if they're everything they're cracked up to be, because that's the other thing. But yeah, there's a nice bathroom here, and there's all sorts of things that are kind of really easy and convenient. There's a full kitchen, which means that I can go ahead and go get some coffee, some milk, some breakfast things, a little bit of fruit, some pastries, and all that good stuff. And that way I can kind of focus my meals out on the day for things like lunch, or maybe a fancier dinner one of the nights. One of the things I'm looking to try in both Stockholm and in Copenhagen is this idea of the fika, this whole coffee break thing. So if we can do some of those eating expenses at home, get some snacks when we come back after we head out, explore the city a little bit, and we want to munch on something, we're not getting takeaway or anything like that. That's one way that I like to drive down a little bit of my spending here when I can. So for 5 nights in Södermalm, divided by, our total was $1,131.70. So when you divide that by 3, it's not too bad. So our lodging in Stockholm actually ended up being $388, and I'll just put 24 cents per person, which I think is nice and under. It's a good match. I feel like that's really helpful, and there's Wi-Fi, and so I'll be able to upload and film. Thank you guys for those that posted on my feed. My comment on the community page. I am going to be doing some vlogging, so I'll be able to take you all along with me. So you'll see the Airbnb live if you just stay tuned to what happens next. Yeah, so we get in on Sunday the 19th and leave on Friday the 24th. So nice chunk of time there in. And what I realized is that our flat is more expensive, except this time I believe it is 3 full bedrooms, which is fun. A ton of space, which I think is beautiful. There's a huge dining room, which I didn't expect. And there's, I think, 2 full bathrooms. So there'll be plenty of room for us to spread out, which one of the things I think is important when you're traveling with friends is like having your own private space to kind of step away from, I guess. I don't know. It's a place to like relax and decompress. I think that's important. So for 4 nights in Copenhagen, we get there on Friday the 24th and we leave the 28th. So we get the full weekend in Copenhagen, which is fun. Our total came to $1,469.94. And then so if we divide that by 3, I think we're gonna be around the $500 mark, which I think is fine. It seemed a little bit pricey at the time, but you know. Yeah, so when you divide this one by 3, our total, all said and done, came to $489.98. Oops, and I already broke my rule of going down. But yeah, so this one's a little bit closer to being on budget, but I think when you kind of divide them back, we'll be good to go, no worries. So that's some of the expenses I have known right now. In the meantime, it's something that like I like to put down, and I'll do a full like what I spent in Europe budget if you guys like. The next thing here, which I think is also important, is transportation. So obviously there's like an Uber from my house to the airport. There's my friend Dylan. He's a big travel buff. I don't think he watches these, so I can tell the story. He's a big fan of the Arlanda Express going from the Stockholm airport to Stockholm itself. Very excited by it. So like that's an expense for transportation. Obviously taking the underground, or we're Ubering anywhere. I know we're going to see the symphony one night, how to get to and from there. All of that stuff adds up. So I figured I'm gonna estimate, because things are so expensive, I'm just gonna estimate $400 for this. I'm hoping we can, between splitting it and then me, I'm also notorious for like, we can walk there. I think that's like an East Coast thing. Like, going to New York City, I'm like, I can walk, it's only a mile. My friends don't like that about me, but you know, it happens. So that's one that I have estimated at $400, we'll see. The next thing is food and beverage. This one I feel like I might have been a little bit too conservative, because I looked at some of the prices on food and beverage in Stockholm in particular. The drinks are really expensive, and I love a good cocktail. So I'm a little bit concerned when all told for 10 days of travel, our food and beverage is gonna I put it at $500. I feel like this might be, and this happens in my regular budget, so that's sticking true to form. Like 500 may or may not be enough, and I will let you know. My hope is that I'm gonna try to eat better and kind of bring some, I have protein bars and stuff with me too, so hopefully we'll hang in there. But food and beverage I think is gonna be the one that's gonna put me pretty close or be over. So we'll see. Stay tuned, I guess. The next one that I always include, and like generally I don't like using this, but it's a nice buffer, is just incidentals, right? So if something goes wrong, heaven forbid, if I have to call a relative or something, like if something happens and I need to, you know, replace an item or my bag or whatever, $200 to me for incidentals seems like something that I can handle if something goes a little bit sideways. Obviously I'll have my bank card and my debit card and credit card and stuff, so like I'll have additional things, but just earmarking at least $200 just floating around and living there is gonna be fine. I kind of just feel strongly like having that floating there is gonna make me feel better. I don't know, hopefully this just comes back as a big fat zero, but just nice to like plan for the worst, expect the best. I think that's like kind of what I'm gonna be doing here. So the next is cash. I am one of those people that like I just generally, one, it's fun to see the different money of the world, and because Sweden and Denmark are both not in the euro, you had to get your own separate currency, and if you're an American, the exchange rate is kind of bananas. It's very confusing. It's like, or like 14 cents is equal to 1 US, or 14 kroners is equal to 1 US, I don't know. It's very crazy. I'll leave the conversion rate in the little thing here. But so I kind of split and did an order for each. I expected $450 what I was gonna take out and see if that would transfer over, like $225 in each country. What I ended up getting and paying for overall was $436 in each. Not in each, in total. So I split that between both of them. I took a little bit more out in Swedish kroner, just because we're gonna be there a little bit more. So we'll just see kind of what happens there. Yeah, so I mean, we'll just see what we use, and then whatever we don't use, I'll see if I can either convert it back or try to deposit it when I get home. Who knows, I have no idea. But sometimes too, like if we're going out to dinner and I have something left over, like I'll just throw it on the normal currency and then kind of get the Venmo from my friends, just making it easier to get rid of the cash too, so it's not like we run out of it. And then last but not least, I put shopping. I really am not a souvenir person. Like it's never been something that, a postcard or two, something fun. Maybe I happened to find this washi tape when we were in Limerick. There's this adorable store that said it was from Denmark. So like I picked up some of this washi and a couple other sets, which is under here by the way. I don't think you could see it. But I generally don't do a lot of souvenir buying. Like I don't bring a lot back with me, especially if I'm vlogging. Like I feel like all of that is my memory keeping. So I don't feel like too terrible about the whole thing, but you know, that's just kind of how my brain works. Oh, you know what I left out, but that's okay, is like the activities piece. But I guess that could be like, so tickets, going to things, I didn't include that on here. I guess I can probably lump that into incidentals and shopping, but I did have that planned out for earlier. But my shopping budget is pretty low. I mean, I might get an ABBA souvenir, maybe, because we're going to the ABBA museum. But other than that, like, I really don't feel like I'm gonna be buying a ton of stuff. I say that now, and then who knows, I could buy something crazy while I'm over there. Not like a Volvo or anything, but just, you never know. So all told, like, while this is an expensive trip, I do feel like if you can balance kind of what you're spending and what your focus is, I think you can like travel around Europe pretty efficiently these days. So all told, when you add the whole budget together, what I'm thinking as an absolute max here is $3,500 for 10 days of travel. That's $350 a day if you think about it all inclusive, like of everything. I don't think that's half bad. Again, I'm grateful for the flight deal that helped us set that up, and I'm hoping that the rest of the other expenses I can keep to an absolute minimum and be smart about what I'm spending, partly because I would like to see some other places this year. But yeah, this is my travel budget for now. I'm kind of excited. I love the spread. I think it's super fun. So let me know if anything you think I missed or any other travel tips that you have for saving money. I feel like having that chat in the comments is super helpful. But yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it, and it does help our channel out. If you haven't yet subscribed, you should really subscribe to see the chaos that goes on this little Euro trip, man. I think it'll be quite the adventure. If you have any tips for Sweden or Denmark, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to kind of take you along. So yeah. I'm really excited to see where this trip goes. I'm filming this on the 17th, so I leave literally in just under 24 hours. I'm so excited. Can't wait to take you along with me. Let me know where you're planning to head as well. I'm so curious. We had some bucket list chats about where people want to go. Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, all sorts of fun places. So let me know. Can't wait to talk to you guys soon. I'll bring you along with me. Bye, planner friends.